multivitamins and minerals for the rest of my life is potentially, hopefully, what I found here. So previously I had a different solution, which was buying the vitamins at a local drugstore. And these are actually vitamin tablets. And I figured, what if ideally I just had to take one pill? Now, of course, if you only take one pill, the pill cannot be that large. Therefore, some companies actually have you take multiple pills in a given day. Also, the more you combine things into one single pill, the less flexibility you have over time if you actually want to adapt this protocol, as Andrew Huberman would say. So now what I searched for was just a multivitamin that also had minerals, because in here are actually not minerals, and I actually took these water-soluble pills you could just throw in water and drink it, but these have sweeteners in them, and I also figured if I drink something very sweet, I also crave something very sweet, and since sweet things often are not that healthy, I figured I'd get rid of also the minerals. So therefore, now ideally I would have everything in one. And the nice thing about this already is that it has 365 tablets. This means if you ideally buy this in the beginning of the year, then you can potentially sell one of these tablets on eBay for however tablets actually sell for. So what also is in there are amino acids and, as I also said, minerals. So let's actually take a look at the ingredients list, and since you probably cannot read it, even though I might have it clear for a few seconds, and then you can potentially screenshot it if you want to, but you also can maybe just check it out. I guess that would be a better solution. So what is actually in there? We have, I won't read all the different doses. Of course, this also comes with some downsides. I read so what I didn't do this time, I just needed a solution. I ran out actually of omega-3 fatty acid capsules some time back, and I figured I just needed a solution because I mean I still have these, but I also figured, so these are basically the cheapest from the drugstore, and I figured these are probably not that high in quality. I also figured I didn't want to spend time optimizing single vitamins, even though that is something doctors might recommend, and if you are vitamin D deficient, then you take more vitamin D. The problem is just what happens then. Do you take a blood test every single week and then you increase or decrease the different vitamins? That would be ideal, but nobody has either the money to do these blood withdrawals or blood draws all the time, neither are there software solutions that actually can track all these different things, and you also need to manage all the different purchases. So therefore, I think, at least as of currently, this is just not a viable solution. Maybe in 25 years or in 10 years, we will have a company that provides all the different nutrients you need, including the macronutrients, just in a solution you can get and then drink, but not as of now, compared to Hue, for example, that just offer a standard solution, but just very designed, specified to your needs. This would be ideal, but until then, I think something like this just makes sense. Okay, what do we have in there? We have vitamin A, B1, B12, B2, B3, B5, B6, B7, B9, C, D3, E. In terms of mineral and these other trace elements, I think they are called. Trace elements or trace minerals, what we have in here is chromium, iron, iodine or iodium, I don't know, I will look it up. It is called iodine, copper, magnesium, manganese, selenium, zinc, molybdenum. And then we have a few of the amino acids. What we also have in there is turmeric powder. Per capsule we have 50 milligrams of turmeric powder. Turmeric seems to have some potential benefits for preventing Alzheimer's. Also has the side effect of potentially decreasing DHT and also therefore testosterone in your body, which is of course not very optimal, but in terms of longevity there seems to be some evidence that turmeric seems to be something that is good. And there are also a few other things in there which I now won't all translate because I have to look every single word, and this is just not something I currently have time for. Well, that's basically it. So now let's open the whole thing up. Ideally, as I said, you would buy one of these in the beginning of the year. With Amazon, you can also get them delivered, actually automated, but only in a distance of 6 months. And since you only need one in a single day, well, this is something that doesn't really work out, because the year has 12 months. Now, what is also nice about these is they are vegan. And not that I think too much about going vegan, but if it is something that is very easy, and if it is something that doesn't come with potential health downsides, then I would potentially do it. What I also recently did was I tried to iterate my normal diet into a shake. There is some powder on here. And this is how they look like. They actually are not that... They smell a little weird, but they are kind of sweetened, I think. There is something, kind of a fruity smell to it, as you potentially were used to from these as a kid. And a little bit weird seems to be the fact that there are more nutrients in there, also the minerals, and compared to the old ones I took, they are even smaller. So now, well, the daily recommendation is 1. It also comes in multiple languages, as I read online, so you can peel it off and then it is in other languages, which has the potential benefit that I wouldn't even have needed to translate all of these on my own. But of course I can read those, and of course it's the right name. I don't know if I pronounce it correctly. So the other ingredients are alpha lipoic acid, citrus B-flavonoids, inositol, turmeric powder, L-choline, L-cytines, L-glutamine, L-lysine, L-methionine, grape seed extract, and betaine, or trimethylglycine. So that are all the things that are in there. There also was an option on Amazon that actually came in a bottle, which in terms of my zero waste project, which of course doesn't mean I have zero waste, but at least that's the ideal goal, would have been nicer, and this is a plastic bottle, but the other one was not vegan. So this one is vegan, and so this is nice, because with all the different components I need for my nutrition, I basically need multivitamins and minerals. Then what I also need is vegetables, and then I need some kind of protein source, because vegetables already have a few carbohydrates, and there, of course, you also need the essential fatty acids the body cannot produce, and you also need the essential protein acids the body cannot produce, which are usually called amino acids. So also, in order to simplify my nutrition even further and potentially remove a huge chunk of cooking time, what I have tried in the last weeks is to not cook anymore, but to only either heat something up in the water boiler, or ideally what I would do is I would get 2 packs of frozen vegetables, since I don't need to wash them and they already come in a portion size. And then additionally I would have protein powder, also vegan protein powder, which will arrive in the next few days and which I'll probably also make a video about. And then I have to just fuse all those different things. The multivitamin is responsible for the multivitamin and the minerals, and also some amino acids. I figured these can't do any harm, even though of course it doesn't make sense to have double the necessary amount of things. Example, it wouldn't make sense to take these and these at the same time. And then ideally I would mix these or blend these, and then I would have a shaker. I still have the 2 Huel shakers, and then I would just ideally drink 2 drinks in a given day, and this would be my OMAD, so my 1 meal a day nutrition. And the one thing I recently tried is upping my protein intake, which was quite successful so far, because my hunger actually decreased a lot, actually. Is this the one solution that will fix my nutrition once and for all? Probably not. But as I before realized, and I also realized that I'm going a little bit off topic, that the protein intake I had was based on a very old recommendation that still might, for some people, or according to some people, turn out to be the actual real good one. And also in terms of longevity, decreasing protein seems to be a good way to maximize longevity. But in the short term or midterm, I figured if I am less hungry, I just will eat less. And if I therefore increase the protein, therefore increase the satiation of food, because the thing is, if your body needs a certain amount of protein, and you basically have a macronutrient ratio that forces you to intake more calories for a given fixed amount of absolute protein than you would otherwise eat, then it forces you to be overweight, because you have to eat more carbs and more fat with every unit of protein you get out of nuts, for example. I think this is the big problem with a plant-based diet, that you don't have a protein source that you can use as a lever to increase your protein to maybe 100 grams, to maybe 200 grams, depends of course on the recommendation. I think I will more lean towards the 2 grams per kilograms of body weight. And in the past it was 0.8 grams, and I often was a little bit below this. If I then have these, I also have the vegan protein powder, and the only thing I add is 2 kilograms of frozen vegetables, then I'm potentially a vegan. At least for the days in which I choose to just be vegan, but I think it will not be something I will choose for the rest of my life, since I just don't want to depend on a label in order to optimize my nutrition. So it is basically just a constraint for your nutrition, and I don't want to constrain my nutrition by such a huge factor that essentially means that I cannot get a whole food source for my protein and don't get my normal protein from a whole food source. In terms of protein, there is a lot to be discussed, and I'm not a nutritionist, but it seems to be that vegan protein, or just in general protein from plant-based sources, has a much lower bioavailability, which basically means that you have to eat a lot more, and also from different sources, in order to reach something similar in terms of bioavailability. This means how much of the protein your body can actually use from the protein in terms of grams or weight you consumed. And this means I just am a part-time vegan, and normally I'm a vegetarian for now almost 6.5 years, going to 7, and I recently also thought about potentially trying meat again in order to maybe get my mind into a more stable phase again. And yeah, well, this is actually was a video about these in the beginning at least.